probably going to be a long video, aren't they all? Anyway, it's a draft science video. I will get to physics in the second half, probably. That's my intent, anyway. But we're going to start off here with this Luddite, Luddite returns or something. Anyway, so he's doing this same old crap, all of this, we all must endeavor to persevere, um, you know, bullshit. Resorting to Winston Churchill. They were they had the choice between giving up and becoming Nazis or dying. Yeah, and they chose to say, no, I'd rather not be a Nazi. Now, we could make a parallel circumstance. That's how it gets to the physics. This is all bullshit. I mean, when you look at the physics, when you think about the biology, um, it's just so obvious what we're caught up in. We're just caught up in spirals of matter that have gotten all eccentric. And that's all we are. We're an eccentricity of matter. And it's all built on this stupid little competition that happens in a puddle of water when you throw in a bunch of DNA molecules. And they start competing with each other because they have nothing better to compete with except each other. And so they start fighting with each other for no good reason, eating each other, consuming each other, and then you come up with this little beastie who thinks he's some kind of special thing. But everything we value, like in the universe itself, all the movement, all the action, it's an illusion. It doesn't add up to anything. Everything you want, everything that you subjectively as an individual have a passion for, the passion has been put inside of you. You do not choose it. You do not make it. Okay, it's imposed, and you know it's all fake because you know my definition of beauty isn't your definition of beauty, and certainly a wildebeest's definition of beauty is different than both of our definitions for sure. And it's all bullshit. All the Cheetos are fake. It's fake synthetic cheese. And you already are a Nazi. That is what it comes down to. You're already a fucking Nazi. Alright? There's no distinctions. Um, the human condition is stupid. Um, and this idea that we have some obligation to perpetuate it because you silly people are addicted to it. You value it. So, I haven't had this thing for too long. Somebody sent me this little fluffy. He loves Darwin. Uh, and even though I haven't had him too long, I couldn't stick a knife in its head. All right, I couldn't hurt it, even though it can't feel. It's completely synthetic. It has no real substance, but it has a personality to me now. I know it. I'm familiar with it. It even has a voice to me, um, and that's the way it is. So I can't degrade it emotionally, psychologically. But that's all it is. It's just psychology. It isn't the fucking truth. This is not the truth. This is just cute and endearing to me because of my psychology. It's psychology. It isn't philosophy. And that's where these people go all the fuck wrong. These Dana Garrett types who keep talking about how, oh, you can't judge life itself or humanity. You can only judge certain kinds of human, which is such a joke. Yeah, so what if I declare you all Nazis? What if I decided that you're all just fucking Nazis? You're all wearing different color suits, but you're all colossal assholes. Why would I subject the human to that condition? Why would I validate that and say yes, that needs to go on for 1,000,000 years? Let's validate it. Let's let the Nazis rule the earth for 1,000,000,000 years. I wouldn't do that, and you wouldn't do that, asshole. So it all has to do with your definition. And so you have some kind of definition of what humans are doing that doesn't make them out to be just consuming and reproducing assholes chasing synthetic cheese. Because you're pretending you're all doing something real, that you're actually accomplishing something, because you have these preposterous egos, and that's all it is about, your fucking ego. And ego is no better than racism. It's no better than a petty, subjective, personal preference or personal prejudice that has absolutely nothing to do with any kernel of fucking truth. So you fail. um, So again, this asshole who made the video, this laddie guy, these people just keep talking about killing yourself as if that's a solution to the problem, right? Now, Churchill wouldn't say that, right? He'd say, well, if the Nazis are taking over, okay, they're going to win, so kill yourself. He wouldn't say that. And that's not what we're saying. Those of us who think you're all a bunch of retarded assholes, a bunch of retarded Nazis, because you don't even know you're Nazis, um, yeah, we're not going to give up and give it to you. Give the future to you. Why would we do that? Why would we want to relive our lives in your stupid world? To see humanity degrade itself, to eat its own ass, uh, like you fuckers are doing. Um, yeah, so we're not the ones giving up. We're not the ones saying, I'm going to kill myself. No, we're saying, I'm going to prevent myself in the future. I'm going to prevent you from creating that little kid and raising him as a Nazi, you little fucker. So I ask you, laddie guy, what if this was the reality? Okay, a little thought experiment. Try to play by the rules. You have a choice to live, okay? But the choice is that you're going to live in, I don't know, 1935. You're going to be raised by a devout Nazi. You're going to be part of the Hitler Youth. You're going to be a bigot, a Jew hater, and you're going to work at a concentration camp, and you're going to be happy to do it. That's going to be the life you get to live. Do you want to live it? Will you live it? Are you willing to live it? All right? And answer the question honestly. And once you answer that question honestly, you'll realize that you would like to prevent yourself from being that. You not only don't want to live that life, you want to prevent yourself from living that life. And you'll do what you have to do to prevent you from having that imposed on you. All right? So fuck you. And that's the truth of it. So, yeah, killing myself doesn't solve the fucking problem. That's not going to prevent some Chinaman named Gary San, from being crushed under a ton of rock in a coal mine in 10 years or some other 20 years or whatever. It's not going to prevent any of that. It's not going to prevent all the Elephant Man. It's not going to prevent all this shit. Would Winston Churchill be the Elephant Man? I mean, you people just keep talking as if you are willing to take a risk. Well, you're taking a risk with somebody else's welfare, and that's the bottom line. Where do you get the right to dress me in a Hitler suit, you fucker? I don't want to be one of you. All right, you nauseate me. That's the other thing. You talked about this suffering thing. You always talk about this pain thing, as if there's only one kind of pain in the world. It has to do with mashing flesh. And then you did talk a little bit about the psychological pain of expectation, maybe, or disappointment, or that kind of thing. And yeah, that's all part of it. But there is a ton of pain that just happens in life. Little miseries, little physical tensions and irritations, little irritable bowel syndrome kind of bullshit that can just nag you for a lifetime and just be a constant and perpetual harassment and steal all the value of whatever this stupid nonsense game you're on. I mean, if you're seasick long enough, you're just not going to want to get on boats. So this is just bullshit. There's lots of ways for life to, drill holes in you. Besides breaking your fucking arm. Alright, enough of that. Yeah, it's probably enough of the response to these assholes. This is just... Look, it's an easy trap to fall into, but let's understand what it is. I mean, so getting to the physics of it, we're just arrangements. And yeah, it's unique, but it's unique like a fingerprint, alright? And yeah, it's unique, but there's a lot of similar ones. There's a lot of fingerprints that are really close to being the same as mine. And that's sort of the game. In the future, there's going to be people that are going to have a mental fingerprint very close to mine. They're going to have to relive the same crap, come to the same conclusions. They're stuck in a feudal system because a bunch of fucking retards keep rolling dice they have no capacity to control because they think they are entitled somehow, because a DNA molecule gave them a wiener and a vagina, and they think they have a right to just use them any way they want. And they don't. They don't have any right from any kind of authority, any kind of qualification. All right, they just have it from a crude nature that is the same nature that gave the Nazis license and gave the Tyrannosaurus license and gives the great white shark license. It's not a good authority. And so fuck you people. Fuck that bullshit. That's what I'm after, though. I'm after preventing the fingerprint. You want to play games with your own psychology? You want to be your own slave? Alright? Raise your own kid, your own clone, to be your own fucking slave. Play the game with your own consciousness, your own welfare. Then you can play it all the fuck you want, you lunatic. Alright? Just keep me the fuck out of it. Keep this fingerprint off your out of your stupid, insidious, sick, petty, silly, little juvenile fucking game. All right, there. Enough of that shit. All right, so the physics part. So anyway, we're rolling along with this idea now of, photons, the basic energy quanta, let's call it, whatever, quantons, there you go. Leaving a vacuum in space, leaving a dent where they become a positive space and now are activated and now are moving at the speed of light and cannot be stopped ever. And that the hole left behind, the where they popped out of, they popped out of the universe and they left a hole behind and they're the positive and they have to keep moving. Well, the trick might be, the paradox of the universe might be, is that yes, in this Big Bang, this explosion takes place, these bits of matter are compressed, become double, these bits of space become double space and negative space. And all that negative space and that positive space flies out. And now how would it coalesce? And so I'm sort of thinking that the trick is that the negative space, you just say, well, why wouldn't the photons just go back into the negative space? Why wouldn't they just go back into the holes that they left? And maybe that's theoretically possible sometimes. Maybe some of them do, because they're the right size and they fly in just the right way. But it's like a meteor hitting the Earth or some other thing. A lot of them don't get captured by gravity and they just keep hurling through space, and the only thing that's changed is their path. And the catch is with the atomic structure is, I think, if short of a direct hit into the center of a nucleus, there's no way to fill that negative space because of this Einstein problem, because the negative space creates this gravity. And the problem is the electron gets captured in a gravitational circumstance where maybe it would take 1 billion years for that orbit to degrade enough where it would end up back in the center. And that's the catch, is that the orbits might be perpetual. So once it's trapped in an orbit, it can't get out of it. It can't go in and it can't get out. And so it's stuck in a paradox. And as long as we have positive pieces of matter stuck in orbits, then there must be negative pieces that aren't filled, right? So for every positive piece, you still have a negative somewhere that isn't filled. And that's the paradox is they're very hard to fill because the photon has to go right back and fall right back in the hole it came out of, essentially. A photon has to go right back into the same hole. And that doesn't happen easy. And so it's all trapped chasing the holes, but it can't get into them right away. And maybe over time it will. Over enough time, the whole universe will rebalance again because all the bits of matter will finally fall into all the holes again. But maybe not. I don't know. I haven't thought it all through all the way. But it does create an interesting theory because now we've taken the vacuum, the negative space, and put it in the center of an atom. And so that's where it exists, is on that nuclear level. And it is possible that this does explain something about the elements and why they have a different character. Because depending on how many negative spaces have collapsed on each other, would indicate how strong the gravitational hold of the negative space would be, how much mass, how many photons it could keep captured, um, without consuming. And yeah, and then when you add those up, that becomes matter. So once one is captured, once an electron is captured around that vacuum center, that gravitational center, well, that becomes what we call matter, and it makes gravity for all these other things that coalesce into planets and suns and everything else. All their gravity is made out of the gravity created in those little nuclear forces. And so this gets to this whole idea of a unified theory, because now you've taken the atomic structure is this, the source is the negative empty space inside of atoms, and that has to be, that is the hunger, that is the want that ends up creating the gravity of planets. It's the same force, it's just an expression of the same force, and it adds up. So with every atom, if you have extra force that still isn't used, the atom isn't full yet, it isn't holding as much as it possibly can, it will still be reaching out for more. And so adding up all that kind of gravity, and that would also make sense for the weights and atomic weights, and the fact that there is this component of magnetism and other aspects. The electricity magnetism thing, I'm gonna have to think on that one, because that one gets a little more, it has a little bit more bizarre elements to it. But anyway, yeah, I think it's doable. So yeah, we got clock speed, we got all quanta is moving at the speed of light, and we got negative space created where the quanta was released, or where the quanta became double space, or however we want to describe that. Yeah. Okay. I think we're getting somewhere. So anyway, till next time, and such. Yeah, too bad there's no one to have a conversation with on the internet. Whatever.